Well everyone, it is official. Apple has just sent out their September 9th invites for their new awe-dropping event. I'm going to put it right here so you guys can see what that looks like, but let's talk about everything we expect at the September 9th event. I'm super excited. We got iPhones, we got new software updates, we got possibly some new AirPods, Apple Watches, you name it. Let's go through every single thing right now, what to expect, and what you should spend your hard-earned money on. Let's get into it. But now, before we continue, if you enjoyed videos like this one where we cover all the latest news from Apple, and then of course the reviews of the new iPhones that are coming out, definitely consider subscribing to the channel so you can stay up to date on all things Apple. But now let's pull up the new invite, this awe-dropping invite from Apple, just to kind of analyze it a little bit. So to me, there isn't really much to look at here. Again, it's awe-dropping. They're using some blue font. They're using a little bit of a different ombre hue. But the key thing here is to look at the actual Apple logo itself. And it looks like they're kind of using some infrared lighting or something to distinguish that maybe there's going to be some new headlining feature when it comes to the camera, in my opinion. And then, of course, maybe something bleeding edge as well, right? Maybe Apple, with their new iPhone 17 Air, which we'll touch on in a second, they're kind of inferring and foreshadowing what that's going to be like. And then, of course, with the 17 Pro Max, possibly having another camera sensor or some sort of other sensor that's kind of like the LiDAR scanner. Maybe there's something there. Who knows? I'm just excited to see how Apple sells these iPhone 17 Pros to us because from a hardware standpoint, which we're going to touch on in a second, we pretty much know exactly what to expect. So let's quickly go over the iPhone 17 lineup because that's obviously going to headline everything, right? So when it comes to the iPhone 17, the base model, don't expect anything different in terms of the layout and the look. The screen should get a little bit bigger, going from 6.1 to 6.3 inches, but everything will remain relatively the same when it comes to the actual build, the look, the function. The rear of it is still going to look the same with the two cameras side by side. The one other big thing that was going to happen here is that we're going to get a 120 Hz ProMotion display on all iPhones moving forward, which will be great. This won't be LTPO, but it will be a variable refresh rate from 60 to 120, so people on the base model can experience what that's like. And then also the front camera is going to go from 12 megapixels to 24 megapixels, and we're going to get a slightly larger battery and the A19 chip. Then moving on to the iPhone 17 Air, iPhone 17 Air is going to be the one that's going to look the most different, at least, and also feel the most different because this thing is going to be only 5.5 millimeters in thinness or thickness, depending on who you're looking at, and you're going to only have one camera sensor. So I'm curious to see what Apple's going to do here, or how they're going to sell it. Are they going to sell this like a high-end product where you're paying more, but technically getting less? Or if they're going to still sell it as a budget-friendly device? You know, exactly how they're going to sell this, I'm not 100% sure, but again, only one 48 megapixel rear camera. We'll have that 24 megapixel front camera. It's going to be eSIM only no matter where you are in the world. As of right now, iPhones are only eSIM in the US. Everywhere else are eSIM, but they also have a physical SIM. This phone will be eSIM only throughout the entire world. It'll have the regular A19, so it won't have the Pro chip, which is another interesting thing in terms of what they're going to do with pricing. And of course, because this is going to be so thin as basically the USB-C port, the battery life should be relatively, average at best, in my opinion. Like, I don't think we're going to get through a whole day with this phone, especially with the larger display of, I believe, 6.7 inches when it comes to this phone. So this phone will replace the iPhone Plus model. But let's see exactly how Apple kind of fits this into the lineup. I am very curious. And then you have the 17 Pro and the 17 Pro Max. This is going to be Apple's, best case scenario for this form factor and the candy slab phone, where they're going to throw everything they can at this phone. So we're probably going to get some sort of MagSafe reverse wireless charging, which I'm super excited about. We're going to have a new optical zoom sensor. It's still going to be 48 megapixels, but we're going to get 48 megapixels across the board on all three cameras on the rear. We're going to have a smaller dynamic island. The display should remain the same at 6.3 and 6.9 inches, but bezel should get a little bit smaller. And it's actually going to be made out of aluminum this time around instead of titanium, which is interesting because titanium is technically a more expensive material, but let's see what Apple does with this one. It also could have a two-tone design with a new orange color for the 17 Pro and Pro Max on the rear, and then of course we're going to have that big visor on the back. So the camera array is still going to be top left corner, but there's going to be a visor that goes across the entire iPhone, where they're probably going to put the flash and the LiDAR scanner on the top right of the back of the phone versus all together on that top left corner. So more of a looks and differences kind of change. It'll of course have the A19 Pro, possibly a little bit more RAM, but let's see what they end up doing with that. And then lastly, this might have a $50 price bump and price increase at the end of the day, which again, it's kind of unfortunate, but Apple has still been on that same price point for the last, I think, 7 years on their Pro model. So, we should be thankful for that at least. The next one that I'm really excited about has to be the new AirPods Pro 3. We've had this same kind of design of the AirPods Pro 2 for a long time now. It just feels like we got a new one because we went from the regular Lightning to the USB-C case and things like that, but in reality, they were essentially the same AirPods. But this time around, of course, we're going to get better noise cancellation overall, so the ANC is going to be better, the transparency should be a little bit better, but there's going to be a little bit more of a focus on the wearable side of it when it comes to Apple Intelligence, for instance, as well as a fitness aspect. So with this, it'll have a decently new design. It's going to kind of lean towards the AirPods 4 form factor a little bit with the extra ventilation as well. It's going to have a new H series chip, which is going to help boost audio quality as well as stronger noise cancellation, like I mentioned. And it will have some health integrations in terms of a heart rate sensor for working out. So maybe you can actually go on a workout without your Apple Watch, without anything, and just have your AirPods in, albeit then you can't really listen to anything. But at the end of the day, that could be possible if all you want to do is get a heart rate reading. And you can see that Apple's been steering the AirPods as a kind of health wearable, especially with the new feature that they came out last year where it's kind of almost a medical grade hearing aid for low and mid level hearing loss. So Apple's going to really lean into that. And then of course, as Siri gets smarter and more Apple Intelligence stuff comes out, that could be the wearable that Apple goes with instead of maybe doing something like glasses or another wearable on your wrist or whatever the case may be. I think the future of Apple's wearable is going to be AirPods. I mean, think about it. If you walk around New York City or any major city right now, I would say like 80% of people walking around have AirPods in, which is insane. Could be skewing that a little bit, but that's what it feels like. And then next up, they're going to be releasing new Apple Watches. I'm really excited for the Apple Watch Ultra, the 3, because it's going to be the first real redesign with a smaller bezel, a larger display. I believe it's going to be almost 52 millimeters in size, which will be great. It's going to have kind of a waterfall design. It'll have SOS features. It'll have 5G implemented in it as well. So overall, I think the Apple Watch Ultra 3 is going to be the best bang for buck, and it's also going to be the best overall new version of an Apple Watch this year, because the Apple Watch Series 10 did get a revamp last year, so the Series 11 is going to see pretty much the same evolution. Nothing much is going to change, just some better internal specs, a better SIP internally in terms of a system on a chip. And then lastly, it's time to get a brand new Apple Watch SE 3 or the 3rd gen version, which is just going to kind of probably adopt the Apple Watch Series 7 or 8 chassis and then just have some lower end internals, and they're going to rewrap that as an Apple Watch SE, which will probably be actually the best value overall if you're not looking for the latest and greatest. But I do think the Ultra will have the best battery life, will be the best overall Apple Watch that Apple can put together, similar to how they're going to have the 17 Pro Max have absolutely everything, and that's what I'm going to be going towards. So I'm curious to know if they're going to be throwing off some new colors. And the very last thing that they might throw in at the end here is going to be some AirTags too. This one we're a little bit 50-50 on, but some new AirTags have been rumored for a very long time now at this point. Form factor wise, they're going to remain the same, so all your accessories will work the same way that they did before. It'll probably be the same type of battery that's needed in order to replace it, albeit it might be a little bit more efficient and battery life could last up to 18 months instead of a year. But the biggest thing here is going to be the improved ultra wideband accuracy, so you're able to then have that wayfinding UI and experience from up to 100 meters away instead of just 30 meters away. And then there's going to be some more tamper-resistant anti-stalking measures that Apple's going to put in there from a hardware and software perspective. But I just wanted to rattle off everything to expect at this new event, at this awe-dropping event on September 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Definitely get subscribed to the channel because we will be covering it live, we'll be covering it after, we'll be ordering all the phones, all the new accessories that are coming out. I'm extremely excited to see exactly what Apple gives us at the end of the day, and maybe there will be one more thing, like a HomePod or some sort of home hub that I know they've been working on, but they could save that for October as well. That'll do it for this video. Leave a comment down below what you're excited for, what you plan on getting. Are you upgrading from any of these things? Do you have an older iPhone that you're excited to upgrade to a new iPhone? Always curious to know your thoughts. And of course, all the new iOS, iPadOS, and macOS software updates will be coming around probably at the end of that September 9th date, if not that next Friday. But let me know in the comment down below what you think. If you guys want to watch more videos like this one, check out one of these videos right here. Until next time, I'm Fernando. Peace, everyone.